Welcome to the Mac video for ERS Company Profile Manager Gauge Calibration Maintenance. This video is the second in a series of videos for Company Profile Managers about gauge maintenance. The video describes how to add, update, and delete gauge calibrations. In addition to listing the gauges in Mac, as described in the first video in this series, Company Profile Managers must also maintain some information related to the gauge calibration. You must be in your company roles and have the role of Company Profile Manager. In the last video, we navigated to the Company Profile screen and added gauges under the Gauges tab. Now we are back under the Gauges tab and ready to add a calibration record to a gauge. Select the Add Calibration option on the row of the gauge for the calibration data. An Add Calibration dialog box appears. Enter the date the gauge was calibrated in the Calibration Date field. Select English or Metric from the Units drop-down list based on the unit of measure on the calibration report. The unit of measure applies to the B and F values. A, C, and E values are unitless. This is an example of metric values. If this were in English units, the information would say pounds per cubic foot. I will select metric. Enter the A, B, and C values for each measurement of rod extension for the most common depths performed by your company. The most common ones are 4-inch, 6-inch, and 12-inch, which are required fields. Companies that perform 5-inch tests commonly should also include that entry. Enter the E constant and F constant values from the calibration report. Select the Add Document option to attach a copy of the calibration report to the gauge. This allows it to be stored one time, so it does not have to be submitted on each project. Select the Choose File option. An open dialog box appears. Navigate to the file location of the calibration report and select it. Select the Open option. The file will be uploaded into Mac. To save the calibration data and report in Mac, select the Save option. The calibration data and report can be viewed by selecting the Date Hot link on the row of the gauge. Repeat the steps until all gauges have an initial entry and calibration report attached. If you discover a data entry error or need to make changes, select the Update Calibration icon next to the calibration date on the row of the gauge you want to update. It looks like a pencil. An Update Calibration dialog box appears. Make changes to the data as needed and select the Save option. Once all gauges have an initial calibration entry, you may need to add other calibration records. Gauges need to be calibrated annually or whenever they are repaired. Select the Add Calibration option below the date of the previous calibration. An Add Calibration dialog box appears. Enter the data for the latest calibration as previously demonstrated. Once the new calibration record is saved, it appears as a Date Hot link above the previous record so that the most recent calibration record is first. The calibration due date is calculated from the most recent date. You may need to delete a calibration record. For example, you entered the wrong data for a gauge. Deleting a calibration may make a gauge ineligible to be used on ERS projects. This function will not always be available. If it is, select the Delete Calibration option next to the calibration date on the row of the gauge. A Delete Calibration dialog box appears. Select the Delete option. The calibration record is deleted. If this is the only record, as in this example, and the gauge is listed as a project gauge, it will not be valid to be used for testing until a calibration record with the appropriate date is entered. There is a Gauge Master List screen in Mac. Let's navigate to that screen to see what it looks like. From the menu, select the Earthwork Record System menu option, then select the Gauges submenu option. The Gauge screen appears. On this screen, gauges are grouped by manufacturer, not company profile. This makes it difficult for company profile managers to isolate gauges that belong to their company. There are gauge and calibration functions on this screen. They work the same on this screen as previously demonstrated on the company profile screen. This concludes the Mac video for Company Profile Manager Gauge Calibration Maintenance. Thank you for reviewing the training. In the next video, we will describe the notifications for Company Profile Managers related to gauges. If you need assistance with Mac, please contact your local District Application Coordinator. For assistance with ERS, contact the local District Materials and Research Office Earthwork Specialist.